So I'm going to go through a few tips here. The first one is not real revolutionary here, but use brevity. So when you're designing your emails and you're sending emails, you really want to look at, you want that email just even from a visual impression standpoint, like not even looking at the words, but if you look at it, does it look like a big bulk of words grouped together in a big paragraph? If so, first of all, you want to strip out any words that are redundant, aren't needed, aren't going to have a big impact. You really want to look at it's sort of like packing a backpack on a vacation. Am I really going to need this umbrella? Because I'm going to carry it around for the next 5 days. So you really want to look at every word in that way. And even design the email so that it looks like you're using a little bit more brevity. If there's a long paragraph, add a return to break it up so that when your prospect receives the email, the goal here is to minimize that instant delete. And so brevity can help with that. And so this helps to deal with all four of those things those concerns I laid out. Using brevity helps with the prospect being busy. Using brevity helps with prospects getting a lot of emails from salespeople. It's going to help with them not being in buying mode, and it's going to help with the instant delete. The two things that it's really going to help with there is the prospect being busy and the instant delete. The next tip is to avoid sounding like a salesperson. So I'm going to show you some emails that I've received from salespeople in a minute. You'll notice from them, we're going to talk about it, that they're clearly salespeople that are trying to sell to me. And so if you're dealing with prospects that get a lot of emails from salespeople, and if we can assume that factors into them not being responsive or it's being difficult to engage, well then maybe we can see a positive result from not sounding like a salesperson. Also, if you don't sound like a salesperson, this helps with the prospect not being in buying mode. Because if you're not in salesperson trying to sell something mode, then you have less of a conflict there with maybe conflict isn't the right word, less of a mismatch with the prospect not technically being in buying mode, and that can also help with the instant delete. Tip 3 is to focus on the immediate goal. Your ultimate goal is to get a new client, to close the deal, to sell the product. But your immediate goal is likely not that. You could say that you might have a one-call close product and you have a very short sales process, but you'll rarely reach your ultimate goal in an email. Unless you have like a very great product and a buy it now button in the email, and you're able to get prospects to click the buy it now and they purchase, you still have some sort of process there after the email. And so you want to focus on what that next step is. And a lot of times it might be scheduling a meeting or establishing a conversation. So staying with your email prospecting, staying laser focused on your immediate goal, and I'll talk to you and when we talk about building your emails how to do that. Tip 4 is to use a multi-touch mindset. And so I'm sure you've heard the word multi-touch, and that you know that you're going to have to touch these prospects with multiple times and maybe in multiple methods, multiple emails, and a mix of calls and whatnot to get a hold of them. But I really want to stress the word mindset here. So, okay, not just use a multi-touch approach, but use a multi-touch mindset. And the way I'm using the word mindset here should impact you in 3 different ways. It's going to impact your actions. So of course, yes, instead of just sending one message, you're going to send multiple emails, and I would recommend also using the phone and other formats to try to get a hold of somebody. So it's going to impact your actions, but it's also the mindset here, multi-touch mindset, is also going to impact what you say. So a lot of times I'll get a voicemail from a prospect that says, whatever the message is, at the end they say, please give me a call back, here's my number. So that mindset with that message, even if they plan to call me back, that message is in line with them not using a multi-touch approach. Now, instead of saying, here's my number, call me back, if I change that to, I'm going to try you again next week, but if you want to call me before then, here's my number. that change right there is communicating in a multi-touch way. It's communicating in a way where your message is aligned with having a multi-touch, that you're going to continue to reach the prospect. So this can impact what you say. It also can impact what you think. So if you send an email and the prospect doesn't respond, and you start to doubt or factor in, what do I do? I'm not going to do anything because they didn't respond, or they didn't respond to your voicemail. So that's not having a multi-touch mindset in terms of what you're thinking. If you really transition to thinking, I'm going to have to reach out and touch and contact this person multiple times, then you don't start to doubt and question and get down and stressed out when a prospect's not being responsive. Tip 5 is to educate the prospect. So if we are going to communicate and reach out and touch the prospect multiple times, then we can use all those different opportunities to teach the prospect a little bit about why they should talk to us once we finally get a hold of them. And so, it's also about shifting your message. So there's a difference between trying to sell the product and trying to educate the prospect. Trying to sell the product, it can really be aligned with talking about the product and the features, and educating the prospect can be more in the direction of talking about their needs and why they should use your product and why they might need your product. So this can help with your prospect getting emails from a lot of salespeople, because they're all going to be talking about the product and you're not. You're going to be educating the prospect, so it can have a slight impact there. It can also have a big impact with them not being in buying mode, because they might not know that they need what you sell, but you know that they do, or they should probably need it, and so you can educate them, which helps them to shift and transition more into buying mode. And this can also help with minimize the instant delete.